My hands are literally shaking as I write this script, because what just dropped on the internet less than an hour ago has the potential to completely and irreversibly change the course of WrestleMania 42. And if you think you already know how the main event between Roman Reigns and CM Punk is going to play out tonight in Las Vegas, I promise you that after watching the video we are about to break down together, you are going to want to rethink absolutely everything. A ghost just walked back into the world of WWE, a man who was never supposed to return, a man whose bridges with this company were assumed to be nothing but ash and memory, stood in front of a camera in Las Vegas just days before the biggest show of the year, and said things that nobody in professional wrestling had the courage to say out loud. Jon Moxley just broke his silence. He addressed Roman Reigns by name. He talked about CM Punk in a way that changes the entire emotional stakes of that main event bell even ringing tonight. And I have been watching the same 30-second clip of this on repeat for the past hour, and I still cannot fully process what I am hearing. Welcome to Wrestling Juice, and before we get even a single second further into this, please do yourself and this channel a massive favor and hit that subscribe button right now, because the Brotherhood of the Shield just became exponentially more complicated, and you are absolutely not going to want to miss a single moment of what comes next. Let me paint the full picture for you, because context is everything here, and the atmosphere surrounding WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas right now is unlike anything this city has hosted before. Las Vegas itself is practically vibrating. The entire city is covered in WrestleMania banners, and the energy radiating from every corner of this place is genuinely electric in a way that is difficult to put into words. Roman Reigns and CM Punk have been at war with each other for months now, and this has not been a clean or straightforward rivalry by any stretch of the imagination. There have been pipe bombs and deeply personal insults and backstage ambushes, and a contract signing that ended with the Usos surrounding Punk like wolves slowly closing in on wounded prey. The last time these two men were face to face on Raw, Punk admitted something on live television that genuinely shocked the entire WWE universe. He told Roman Reigns directly and without any filter that he hates him because he envies him. He envies the opportunities that Roman was handed, while Punk had to claw and scratch and bleed for absolutely everything he ever achieved in this business. He envies the family, the legacy, the WrestleMania main events, the position at the top of the card that Punk always felt should have been his. And Roman Reigns stood there completely stone-faced and listened to every single word of it. But before that segment ended, Roman laid Punk out after the cameras stopped rolling and left him broken on the concrete floor of the arena, and the message delivered in that moment could not have been clearer to anyone watching. There is no respect in this rivalry. There is no mutual acknowledgement of greatness. There is only survival and the willingness to do whatever it takes to be the last man standing in Las Vegas tonight. Here is what has been gnawing at me ever since that Raw finally went off the air and I sat with everything I had just witnessed. This feud has become genuinely toxic, and not in the way that simply sells tickets and generates social media buzz. It has become toxic in the way that leaves real and lasting scars on everyone it touches. Punk has dragged Roman's family through the mud in a manner that went beyond the comfortable boundaries of professional wrestling storytelling. Roman has responded with a level of physical violence that feels like it has stepped well beyond the script that anyone originally had in mind for this program. Neither man is willing to take even a single step back from the edge. Neither man has shown even the slightest willingness to pump the brakes or acknowledge that things may have gone too far. The tension between these two has been building to a pressure point that the entire WWE universe has been waiting to see finally explode, and the anticipation surrounding tonight's main event has reached a fever pitch that this city has almost certainly never experienced before. And then, completely out of nowhere, a voice from the past emerged from the silence. A voice that belongs to the one man on this entire planet who knows both Roman Reigns and CM Punk more intimately than anyone else alive. A man who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Roman Reigns inside a WWE ring, who bled alongside him, who fought beside him through some of the most defining moments in the history of this company. Jon Moxley. And the challenge he just laid down in that video is deceptively simple on its surface, but virtually impossible in practice. Make CM Punk apologize. Now I need you to listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, because this moment is unlike anything I have personally witnessed in the wrestling world in a very long time. The video surfaced late tonight, and it is grainy, shot on what appears to be a phone camera, but there is absolutely no mistaking the man who is speaking or the weight of what he is saying. Jon Moxley is standing in what looks like a hotel room somewhere in Las Vegas. There is no AEW branding anywhere in the frame. There is no Death Rider aesthetic, no theatrical presentation, no carefully constructed entrance. Just a man in a plain black hoodie who looks tired and looks older than the last time many of us saw him in this context, but who still has those same piercing eyes that made him the absolute emotional heart of the Shield during the most consequential run that faction ever had. And here is what struck me most about this video, before he even said a single word. He did not cut a wrestling promo. He did not threaten anyone with violence or consequences. He did not play to any audience or perform for any camera. He just talked, the way a real person talks when something is weighing on them so heavily that they cannot stay silent any longer regardless of the professional complications that speaking up might create. He said that he has been watching from a distance, watching from the outside, as two men he once called brothers tear each other completely apart over pride and ego that has grown so enormous it has started to consume everything around it. He said he has watched Roman Reigns transform into something that he genuinely does not recognize anymore, and you could hear in his voice that this was not a performance, but an honest and painful observation from someone who knew the man that Roman Reigns used to be before all of this. And then he looked directly into the lens of that camera and said something that I am telling you right now completely stopped my heart when I first heard it. He said, "Roman, I know you. I know what is underneath all of that armor, and I know that the only way this ends without someone getting seriously hurt is if you do the one thing you have never once done in your entire career. Make him apologize. Not for anything to do with the wrestling, not for the rivalry or the title or any of that. For what he said about your family, because if he does not, I am not sure there is a version of you left that is worth saving." And then the video simply ends. No signature, no catchphrase, no dramatic music, no final image, just silence. And that silence, I am telling you, is louder than anything CM Punk has ever said into a microphone at the height of his most legendary promo. I have been turning this over in my mind continuously since it dropped, and here is exactly where I have landed after sitting with it. Jon Moxley did not have to do this. He is under contract with another major wrestling organization. He has spent years building a completely separate and entirely legitimate legacy for himself outside of WWE. He has no professional obligation to insert himself into a storyline involving a company he walked away from and a championship he has no stake in. But the bond that was forged inside the Shield is not the kind of thing that simply disappears because contracts expire and years pass and careers take different directions. Those three men went to actual war together inside that ring. They changed the professional wrestling industry together. They created moments that will be talked about for as long as this business exists. And somewhere deep down, in a place that has nothing to do with business or brand loyalty or professional positioning, I genuinely believe that Jon Moxley sees what every single one of us who has been watching closely can also see. Roman Reigns is losing himself. The tribal chief persona has consumed the man who once laughed openly with his brothers after victories, who once celebrated genuinely and without calculation, who once trusted another human being enough to turn his back to them in the middle of a WWE ring without flinching. Moxley's message was never really about CM Punk when you strip everything else away and look at its core. It was entirely about Roman. It was a plea from one brother to another, asking him to remember who he was before the championships, before the ego, before the suffocating need to control absolutely every person and every situation around him. It was Moxley saying, "I still know who you really are, and I am not ready to watch that person disappear completely." The fan reaction to this video has been split almost perfectly down the middle, and honestly that split tells you everything you need to know about how deeply this rivalry has divided the WWE universe. One half of the fanbase is saying that Moxley is sticking his nose somewhere it has no business being, and that whatever happens between Roman Reigns and CM Punk in Las Vegas tonight is between those two men and nobody else. The other half is saying with equal conviction that Jon Moxley is literally the only person on earth with the credibility and the personal history to reach Roman Reigns at this specific point in his career, and that if the voice of a Shield brother cannot cut through the armor the tribal chief has built around himself, then nothing and nobody can. But here is my completely honest take after sitting with this for the past hour and thinking about it from every possible angle. Jon Moxley just did something that nobody else in professional wrestling had the courage or the emotional investment to do. He told the tribal chief the truth, not a calculated truth designed to advance a storyline or a manufactured truth built to generate a pop from a live crowd. An actual, personal, uncomfortable truth delivered from a place of genuine care for someone he went into battle with years ago and has never stopped seeing as a brother regardless of the circumstances that pulled their careers in different directions. And the question that is going to define everything about tonight's WrestleMania 42 main event is whether Roman Reigns is still capable of hearing that truth, still capable of letting it reach the part of him that existed before the tribal chief, before the head of the table, before all of it. Jon Moxley broke his silence right here before WrestleMania 42, and his message could not have been simpler or more impossible at the same time. Make CM Punk apologize, not for the rivalry, not for the championship stakes, not for any of the professional chess moves that have defined this feud, for what was said about family. The Brotherhood of the Shield is calling out from the past, and Roman Reigns has a choice to make before he walks through that curtain and steps into that ring in Las Vegas tonight. I want to hear from you right now in the comments section below. After watching everything we just broke down together, do you believe Roman Reigns is actually going to listen to what Jon Moxley said? Or is the tribal chief too far gone at this point to hear the voice of someone who once meant everything to him? Drop your honest thoughts down below and let us have that conversation together. And if you are ready for what is shaping up to be the most emotionally charged and most personally devastating WrestleMania main event of our lifetime, hit that like button and subscribe to Wrestling Juice right now. The Shield's brother has spoken, Las Vegas is waiting, and tonight absolutely nothing is going to be the same.